How is everyone doing? I know, you're all kind of wondering, where's Professor Cat? What's going on? This is all weird. My ontological certainty has been flummoxed. I don't know how to be. Well, if you're seeing this, then that means that obviously I'm not physically in the classroom. But that doesn't mean that I wanted to be this class, just to be a canceled class and for us not to get the opportunity to engage in literature. So, first, I'd like to welcome you to my office. As you can see, there are books pretty much everywhere that you can see in my office. You know, this is where I live. The books go all the way up. Yes, scary, isn't it? Yes, that is a copy of the OED over there. So, welcome. Um, and welcome to the class. And I can probably also see that some of you are saying, she wore that outfit to class on Thursday. Well, I did. It's Thursday night. So, I'm doing my special uber geeky thing, which is talking to a camera, lecturing to my students when it's 8, well, almost 9. And just to let you know, just in case you were wondering, that's water. Okay? I just like a fancy glass. So, back to where we were. So, today we are going to continue our discussion about Moby Dick. It's going to be a little weird because I'm not there, but we're still going to get some quality out of this. So, before we kind of go into the discussion, I want us to have some framing for the discussion that we're going to have today. And those of you who didn't read the syllabus, but some of you may have read the syllabus, will remember that I quoted from Nabokov, Lectures in Literature. In fact, I quoted a very, very famous passage from Nabokov in which he says that study novels will not teach you anything that you can apply to any obvious problems of life. Now, isn't that a great thing? I'm sitting in a class studying novels that will not teach me anything that I can apply to life. They will not help you, according to Nabokov, in the business office or in the army or in the kitchen or in the nursery. It will not help you to understand the social economy of France or the secrets of a woman's heart or of a young man's heart. But, and here's Mr. Nabokov being Nabokovian, he says, it may help you if you have followed the instructions to feel the pure satisfaction which an inspired and precise work of art gives. And this sense of satisfaction which an inspired and precise work of art does give, in turn, goes to build up a sense of more genuine mental comfort. The kind of comfort one feels when one realizes that for all its blunders and boners of the inner texture of life, when one realizes that all its blunders and boners, the inner texture of life, is also a matter of inspiration and precision. So, for today, we're going to focus on the idea of inspiration and precision. We've had a lot of these quotes. We've had Foucault, where, oh my goodness, we've had Foucault where he discusses these nodes in a network, that's how we generate meaning. We've talked a little bit about Kazan and what he thinks about Melville and this kind of mediation between what's happening as far as an experience and ontology through this mind that's going throughout Moby Dick. So, without further ado, let's pull out our textbooks, let's pull out our critical reading logs, and let's get to work. So, I know it's a little bit weird. I'm not there, but honestly, we're going to get something out of this. And you're going to learn to take a little initiative in order to make your own meaning. Because I can tell you what something means or even what the interpretations are. But the true gist of getting something out of this class is the generation of your own knowledge. The creation of something that you can hold as your own. So, let's take a look. So, building on the discussion that we've had in regards to mood, diction, style, tone, point of view, narrative perspective, time, pacing, place, geography, etc. These themes that we've been looking at. We're now going to take a look at two. And we're going to be taking a look at motif, and we're going to be taking a look at theme. Oh, the big ones. Motif and theme. And actually, just because I think it'll be easier, I'm going to grab a bigger pen. Bear with me 1 second. Okay. Now, motif and theme, these are big things. Huge, huge things in the literary world. And most of you have probably at some point had to locate a theme in a work of art and then support that reading by looking for the motifs or the reoccurring objects, the symbols, ideas that have popped up periodically through the text that supports your reading. I would like us to go ahead and go to chapter 54 in our textbook, which is the Town Ho story. And it's not what you think it is, as you all know because you read it. So chapter 54, which is going to be starting on page 25. So as we look at this passage, I want us to think about two of the elements that correspond to those 10 that we've already learned. And the two, of course, are motif and theme. Motif. Okay. Motif is kind of the, oh goodness, sorry, I'm all backwards on this thing. Motif is really, very simply put, the stuff that happens again and again and again. So, motif is the stuff that happens again and again and again. So we can say many things about Moby Dick and how Melville constantly is using a variety of different motifs or different things that constantly pop up. We have the coffin imagery. Peter Coffin. He feels, from the very first paragraph when we spent like an hour and a half, feels like this coffin, that he's stepping behind funerals and all these things. So we want to think about this stuff. Well, let's get a little more technical than stuff. Motif can be an image, it can be an action, it can be a pattern of language, it can even be a character, or it can be a color. It can be all of these variety of things. And really what matters is that it repeats. It is not something that just pops up once and then never shows up. No. The tricky aspect of this is that it doesn't always show up in the same form, but it shares enough of a characteristic that you can call it a theme, that you can call it not a theme, but you can call it a motif. It pops up enough. So like the cross, the crucifixion, we talked a little bit about queequeg signs as marked, not like this, but like this, like a cross. So we can think to ourselves, okay, what other motifs that reflect on this symbol, this cross symbol, actually pop up? Well, for those of you that have been, oh goodness gracious, that have ever been on a sailboat, pardon my drawing, well, I'll be darned, and that's not a very good drawing, but the mast where Ahab puts the doubloon is a cross. So, what other elements, what other motifs reflect this cross? And what does this cross mean? Aha! Now, when you start thinking about what does this cross mean, then you're treading into the territory of the theme. Now, the theme is that large, what does it mean? What the heck is going on here? And why should I care? So, let me get my clipboard. Okay, I'm just getting that out of my face. Theme, and here we go with the thinginess of the thinginess, is the aboutness of a story. The aboutness. As you know, sorry, we had a little technical difficulty there. Story is what gets a novel going. So we have story, moving the novel along. Story is what we focus on. But theme. Theme is one of the things that makes a story worthwhile. Theme is, roughly speaking, the idea content of the work. Sometimes the content is simple. Most mysteries, brain candy, etc. that we talked about, they kind of share the theme that the crime will be found out, that no one will get away with it, and that order will prevail. Now, when we start talking about major American novels, then we get into this whole other quagmire where we're not really sure, is there a simple theme? Is there actually something that we can pin down? And this is where we have to look at the motifs, like our cross, and we have to think about, what is this talking about? What is this, I guess you'd say, proposing? And how is it operating? Is it Christian? Is it pre-Christian? Does it have nothing to do with Christianity? Does it have to do with the letter T? What is going on here? And these are the questions we're dealing with. And particularly, when we start talking about chapter 54, we want to think about the motifs and themes that appear to be operating. Now, since I'm not in the classroom, I want us to still have discussion. So I'm going to cut to a little screen and you guys will discuss in class. I would like someone to be the scribe. Let's see. How about Molly? Molly Mountain, you are going to be the scribe, which means you're going to jot down the notes of who says what, who makes what observations, and then you can email that to me. Now, of course, for doing this, you get extra credit, and we'll talk about what that's good for. Now, as far as the scribe goes, just write down the ideas that you observe in relation to the discussion. Now, the first discussion we're going to have centers on motif. So I'm going to kind of go over some ideas, and then we're going to talk a little bit, and then you'll talk amongst each other, and then we'll come back, and then we'll have some more time. So a motif, of course, remember, is a simple element that serves as a basis for expanded narrative. So it's a simple element that serves as a basis for expanded narrative. Or less strictly concerned, it's a conventional situation, it's a device, it's an interest, it's an incident. For instance, and this is an example from the Harmon and Holman, which you all have been looking at, is the carrying off of a mortal queen by a fairy lover is a motif. Many full stories, starting in the medieval time, have been centered around this carrying off. In fact, I would even go further, and I could pull it out. Oh, 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that phone call. So let's get back to our discussion. So I was talking about the carrying off of a mortal queen by a fairy lover is this motif around which many medieval stories, and we could even go further back to the story of the descent of Inanna or Ishtar, which is right around Gilgamesh, where actually it is a mortal, well, it's a mortal man, the king, who is carried off, and the queen, Ishtar or Inanna, has to go to the underworld and rescue him. So this theme has been around for a while, and of course, or this motif has been around for a while, and of course it's been inverted. In literature, recurrent images, words, objects, phrases, or actions that tend to unify the work are called motifs. Nabokov's Lolita, once again to Nabokov, for example, is saturated by a light-dark motif that is found in the names of the protagonist and antagonist, patterns of day and night, blonde and brunette, summer and winter, north and south, white and black, and the game of chess. Simply put, once again, motif is the stuff that happens again and again. Motif can be image, action, language pattern, anything that happens. So, I want you now to discuss what you think some of the motifs that are operating in the story. Where do we find these motifs? On what page? What areas of the text? How do the motifs appear to function in the work? So think about, in particular, you can go anywhere in the text, but chapter 54 would be a good place to kind of start the discussion. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to discuss. After that 10 minutes, and after, of course, Molly makes her notes, then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about theme. Okay, we're back. So, I hope that it was a fruitful discussion, and I hope you enjoyed kind of exploring the motifs and the various ideas that you see working in the text. So now let's shift to our next area, which is theme. Now, remember, theme is a central idea. In nonfiction prose, it may be thought of as the general topic of discussion, the subject of the discourse, the thesis, the focus, the driving point for that work. In poetry, fiction, and drama, it is the abstract concept that is made concrete. So it's abstract, up in there, but it's then made concrete through representation in person, action, and image. So once again, just to recast that so it gets in your head, it is the abstract concept that is made concrete through representation in person, action, and image. Person, action, image. Person, action, image. By the way, if you say something to yourself 20 times, you will help self-hypnotize yourself to remember it. Just a joke or a trick. No proper theme is simply a subject of an activity. It's not simply wailing. That's not a theme. That's just simple. Both theme and thesis imply a subject and a predicate. So, wailing sucks could be a theme. Wailing rocks could be a theme. Pretty simplistic, but you kind of get my drift. You have to have a subject and a predicate. So you have to have a noun and a verb. Noun and verb. It feels like we're in grammar school. So, if theme is aboutness, story, once again, is what gets a story going and what we focus on when we're reading. We're watching to see how Ishmael moves and how he navigates the terrain, and that's the story. But theme in Moby Dick is one of the things that makes that story worthwhile. It's the idea content of the story. Even if the content is simple, and we know that this story isn't simple in its content, there's still a richness to it. Think of The Old Man and the Sea, Little Hemingway. Okay, so thinking back on our discussion of motifs, what elements or ideas do these motifs seem to explore or promote? What evidence do we have of these ideas? So we're going to come back to that. So don't think that you have to discuss things or pause me. So we're now going to think about the idea of theme and motif and the positioning. Theme and motif relate to a positioning of the reading of the works from a specific area. And one of the big dudes, M.H. Abrams, which some of you may or may not know, but another heavy hitter, he observes that most of the readings that we do in regards to literary text in relation to theme and motif correlate to one of these four areas. And I'm going to give a doodle. He says that there are these four areas, and that when we are reading, we are looking at how a work, we are looking at the work, we are looking at the audience, we are looking at the universe or the surrounding world, or we are looking at the artist. And for Abrams, he basically says that when we're examining a work for theme and motif, we normally are going to travel along one of these trajectories. So we're going to think about the actual text and how the audience reads it, or we're going to think about the work and the universe that surrounds it, or the reading atmosphere. It could be historical, or it could be something based on class, race, gender, etc. Or we're going to think about the work and the artist, and we're going to think about maybe Melville, and in particular this work in regards to theme and motif. We could also think of all four. So this really is just kind of a way that we orient ourselves to text. So here we go. We have work, audience, universe, and artist. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to think about the text. Once again, we're going to have a discussion. Now, Molly, I know your hand's got to be tired from taking those notes, so let's give someone else an opportunity. Let's see, Maria Castro. You will be the scribe for this. You will take the notes, and then you'll email them to me so that I can do the wrap-up email. So, like we did before, we're going to discuss this, discuss the idea of theme. And so what I want you to do is to spend 10 minutes exploring theme. If you need more time because it's a large area, please feel free just to pause the video and come back to it. So, now, thinking back on our discussion of motifs, what elements or ideas do these motifs seem to explore or promote? So what have we kind of seen as a common thread that seems to connect these motifs into a theme that speaks about the aboutness of this text? What evidence? So go to the text. What is the evidence? Page, etc., etc., etc. In addition, I want you to think about, in reference to some of the themes that you're popping up, and please think of themes: subject, predicate, men love, men hate, nature is cruel. You know, like those kind of subject, predicate themes. Think about those when you're kind of coalescing the information. And then I want you to think in reference to some of those themes that you've selected and explored. What areas do you feel the theme is concerned with? Is it concerned with the work? Is it concerned with the audience? Is it concerned with the universe? Is it concerned with the artist? So once again, going back to Abram's little trajectory, is it the work? Is it the audience? Is it the universe? Or is it the artist? So which areas does your theme appear to be concerned with? How does your theme connect to this element? And what does that provide for you as the reader of this text? So let's spend about, let's give it 10 minutes. And like I said, if you want to go a little further or a little longer, please just feel free to pause this. So thanks. Okay, I'm back. Maria, I hope you took some good notes and that you'll be sending them along to me shortly. Now, it's time for in-class writing. So, I wish I had a bell. Anyway, the in-class writing that I would like you to do now is I want you to craft a short response, at least one paragraph, if not two, where you make mention of a theme, the motifs that support that theme, and the area of reading from the Abrams chart that your theme is concerned with. Make this a good paragraph and have some development in the paragraph, and you're going to email these to me. So think of this as an opportunity to maybe draft it. You can, of course, scan it if you want, if you don't want to retype it. As long as I can read your writing, I'm perfectly fine with a scanned document. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes to go ahead and craft your short response. Now that you're back from your writing, I want to end the class with a short close reading. I'm going to kind of model a close reading of the Town Ho story just so that you can kind of see, maybe pick up on some ideas. And once again, this is just an exercise so that you can kind of see what I would do in my geeky little way. So, um, and I'm going to kind of maybe do like a what it says, what it means, what its value, so you can kind of get that too. Right after speaking, the whale ship Goonie, or speaking to the whale ship Goonie, the Pequod encountered a homeward bound Nantucket whale ship named the Town Ho. Note that Melville explains Town Ho, and this is important because it's a different context than what we think it is, as the ancient whaling cry upon first sighting a whale from the masthead. So instead of saying, "There she blows," they would say, "Town Ho." So, in addition, and this is from research from one of the plethora of textbooks, more than likely from, where is my Kazan? Can't find him. Anyway, from one of these textbooks back here, where I make note that it is probable that the source is the Nantucket Indian cry, Town Or, meaning I have seen the whale twice. This actually, source, just for all you geeky people, is from Away Offshore by Nathaniel Philbrook, Mill Hill Press, Nantucket, 1994. So Town Or, like Townor, one word. Town Or. The Polynesian crew of the Town Ho that they see in the story had news of Moby Dick. Dun, dun, dun. So Ahab agreed to a short gam. Now, what's a gam? It's a little different than speaking. It's a gam. So, Ishmael narrates the story as though it were being told to his Spanish buddies one evening in Lima, Peru. What the heck is that? Another layer in the narrative? Now, having Ishmael say that he was able to retell the Town Ho's story while lounging about the thick gilt tiled piazza of the plush Golden Inn of Lima with some Spanish dandies, Don Pedro and Don Sebastian, immediately raises the question of how this insignificant hand on a doomed Nantucket whale ship parlayed his employment in the whale fishery into the status of a cosmopolitan gentleman traveling the world. This perhaps is Melville's way of saying that maybe in theme, sowing wild oats as a young man in the whaling game allowed Ishmael to survive in maturity as an affluent, successful writer of whale's tales. A whale of a tale. Isn't that neat? But back to the leaky Town Ho story. The best part of it was known only to a few sailors, and their sinister secret was kept from Captain Ahab and the anonymous captain of the Town Ho, who is a key player in the drama as it's told by Ishmael, the narrator. It seems that a hand, one Stillkit, a lakeman, a desperado from Buffalo, a noble animal with a soul in him worthy of Charlemagne, was not so much loved by Radney, the mate, ugly as a mule, yet as hardy, stubborn, and malicious. Oh, we could go for hours talking about the motifs of the animals and how he uses them to that's rich. And I guess that could also talk about the animalistic nature of a man. But anyway, back to this. Radney is believed to have actually owned shares in the boat, the Town Ho. Radney orders Stillkilt to swab the deck and clean up after a live pig animal running around loose. This was work for the ship's boy, so it's below his status, below his level. And it's a grave insult to Stillkilt, who is a leader. Stillkilt refuses. Radney menaces Stillkilt with a hammer. Stillkilt is hauled off and bashed Radney. He gives him a stove jaw and he spouts blood. Ooh, we could go into the motif of the spout. Anyway, back to this. All the while, during this narrative, Ishmael is spinning this yarn to the Spanish dons, and they keep interrupting. What's a lakeman? What's a buffalo? Where's Buffalo? Nay, senor. Hereabouts in this dull, warm, mostly lazy, and hereditary land, we know but little of your vigorous north. So now we have another motif, maybe of the seasons, of geography, but also of knowledge versus not knowledge. But that we can go on and on for that. So let's go back to the mutiny on the Town Ho. As the story goes, as soon as he bashed mate Radney, Stillkilt rallies his followers, and they take over the forecastle deck, defying the captain's order to get to work on the pumps, for the ship was leaking. Stillkilt and 10 men refused to turn too, because they knew they would be flogged for their defiance. Flogging. Wonder if that's a theme or a motif. Two of them double crosses him, ties him up, delivers him to the captain, but they all three get flogged. Punishment suiting the crime. What would Dante have to say about that? Anyway, back. Stillkilt gets his lashes from Radney, and so here's what Ahab and the Town Ho's captain never find out. Stillkilt plans to murder Radney. But Moby Dick, the whale, appears to prevent that nice boy Stillkilt from committing murder. So Moby Dick maybe is not so evil. Moby Dick grabs old Rad in his jaw and dives down to Davy Jones' locker with the old mule. Imagery. Stillkilt lives happily ever after, proving that Moby Dick is an avenger of injustice, or maybe something like that. Melville uses this chapter in many ways to mock the religious establishment in Lima by having Ishmael demand a priest and the Bible at the end of the tale to swear that the Town Ho story is true. It's got veracity. But is that actually what's going on? Why is this Bible popping up again? And why do we need a priest? And what is this avenger of injustice? So, as you can see, that's kind of I guess you'd say that's my way of reading. And it's a good way to kind of model. One second. Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, that's my geeky way of doing it. So, as far as class is concerned for today, please make sure you posted your reading logs to Moodle. In addition, you're going to read the next section. We're getting closer with Melville. You're going to read chapters 83 to 110, and you will complete your reading log. I will be back in class on Thursday, and I hope that you've enjoyed this kind of video lecture. I know it's a little odd and a little bizarre, but it's a good space. And like I said, I didn't want to waste this class. It's far too important for us to continue on our work. So pull out a little scrap of paper. I'd like you to do your observation today on this medium. Did it work? Did it not work? Was it good? Was it bad? Are you going to go back to the YouTube area and watch it again? Are you going to geek out? So, like I said, have some fun with this. Well, I hope you had some fun with this. But take a moment on a scrap of paper, fill it out. If you can please just fold them up and give them to Lucy. And Lucy will drop them off at my office, and then I will take a look at them and get them posted. So, thank you so much for your patience, and thank you for stopping by. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'm available on email, robinsonkk@eckerd.edu or krobinson75@gmail.com with IM capability. Also through the Facebook page. God, that sounded like an advertisement. Anyway, have a great day, and thank you for attending.